So before I start this review, I wanted to thank my good friend Adam for taking me to the movies because he works at the movie theater and he got me and a few other friends in to see the visit for free. And thank God nobody had to pay for that piece of crap. So The Visit is a lady M. Night Shyamalan movie, honestly, who didn't know that? And it's about these two kids who go and visit their grandparents that they haven't seen them since a fight went on with the grandparents and the mother. And this daughter is making a documentary because she's a very big filmmaker, and the son is kind of rapping on the side. So we all pretty much know how great of a director M. Night Shyamalan used to be with his first 2.5 films, and then after that he just started making really bad movies. He started going to the big Hollywood blockbusters, which is something that I'm not very fond of. I've been hearing 50-50 about this film. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it. A lot of my favorite critics hated it, a lot of my favorite critics loved it, or were a little bit unenthusiastic about the whole thing. But as lukewarm as everybody was, I was still kind of partially excited to watch this film just because it was the simple stamp of M. Night Shyamalan's name with the Blumhouse studio, you know, going back to his roots with a smaller budget, because, you know, every time he makes a very big budget film, it's usually crap. You all know the background of M. Night Shyamalan, so I'm not gonna stay too long on that, but how was this film to me anyways? No. Look, while I think it's a step in the right direction, I don't particularly think anybody should go and waste their money on this film. I didn't. I was lucky enough to have a friend to invite me to the movie theater. That was great. I didn't have to pay for this film, and I'm completely glad because I don't want to give this film my money. Before I get into my negatives of this film, I did want to mention a few positives of the film. The first being that it's a lot less conventional than a horror movie is, because a lot of horror movies nowadays have to do with evil spirits or evil demons and whatnot, but this film takes it to a direction where it's like, it's more realistic, you know, like the sundowning syndrome and the grandpa being a crazy old person. And I liked how they gave the reasons for the grandparents to are acting strange. It wasn't, again, like an evil spirit or anything. It was more like a realistic disease. And actually, my friend Gabe checked out the definition of sundowning, and it is actually a real thing, which sent me chills down my spine, absolutely. But I was just very glad that it wasn't like some sort of bullcrap evil spirit thing again, because we've gotten a million of those movies in the past. The two kid actors were pretty great, but what was greater than their performances, I thought, was, look, their fears were set up a little bit too obviously, but at the end of the film they have to face their fears, and I really liked how that was incorporated into the climax of the film. And I'm like, yeah, Shyamalan still got it, but no. I'll get into that later though. I wasn't very bored during the film either. It was actually really enjoyable, and I had a good time despite myself laughing at certain parts that I obviously knew were supposed to be scary. It's very common for an M. Night Shyamalan film to have its plot be developed very slowly, but for this film it was very enjoyable, and I didn't really feel that it was too slow. Like, there were so enjoyable moments in it. There was a lot of parts where I found it really funny, and then there was other jokes that were really forced too. I also like the fact that the twist ending actually, like, it wasn't one of those run-of-the-mill things. Like, of course, M. Night Shyamalan with the twist of Unbreakable, yeah, he's gonna make a really great twist with subtle hints in there, but this one's a lot less subtle than the other ones, where you see a bunch of people from the mental hospital asking where their grandparents are, and it's like, you could see it almost halfway through that these grandparents aren't actually the real grandparents, and they're actually like two mentally disabled people. But again, it was very unconventional for a horror film like this, and it was a very great step into the right direction in terms of M. Night Shyamalan thinking outside the box. Now let's get into the bad parts. First of all, there's no tension. It's just jump scares. You know, okay, the last horror film that I remember that at least tried to scare you a little bit was Paranormal Activity. Love it or hate it, you can admit that it was at least trying. And like I mentioned before, the funniest parts of the movies were obviously the parts that were trying to be the scariest. Like, come on, who doesn't find this funny? It was only jump scares. The number of times this film made me want to rise up my middle fingers up into the air was ridiculous. Possibly the worst part of this film was the little kid rapping at the beginning and the 20% of the movie, and at the end. It was one of the most cringiest things I've ever seen in the film, ever. And I think it's Shyamalan's worst decision ever. Seriously, like, at the beginning of the film, 10 minutes into it, when he was starting to rap on the train, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this film a chance, but if you do that again in the most obnoxious way, then I'm not gonna give you a chance. And then 2 minutes later, it kept going on, I'm like, you guys are really dragging this out. Then he does it again 15 minutes later, I was like, okay, I know, he's gonna do it at the end again. And then sure enough, the one at the end was the worst. It was at the end of everything, like the climax, it was like, at the credits. And it's just, to me, a big you to the audience. That joke was forced. It was not funny, and nobody in my theater was laughing at all. It was just so awkward to sit through it. I'm not gonna fault the film for having very obvious exposition, but when you have a character saying, "Oh my god, you're 13 years old," very obviously, no. Another thing that I really freaking hate about found footage movies is that the audio quality is absolutely amazing. The footage and the shot composition is absolutely, the quality is out of this world. And I'm like, the production level for her is not going to be very high, so why does it look so high? It just looked too unrealistic for a found footage film. So in the end, guys, I'm going to give this a Del Taco. I do not recommend this to anybody at all. Just don't go waste your money. You can rent it if you want. I'm not going to stop you at all, but just know that deep down in my heart, I will say that no. So yeah, I'm being very kind on this one on my Del Taco rating, but hopefully you guys understand it. There's a lot of people who hated this film, and there's a lot of people that actually really dug it. But for me, it's just no. Okay guys, so did you see this film? I hope you didn't, but I'm pretty sure that everybody's pretty much seen it by now. I got this review late because I wasn't able to watch it opening day. I wanted to, but you know, I just couldn't. School has been such a drag for me, but I'm getting good grades, luckily, better than last year, and I'm very much applying myself to school right now. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to, YouTube's gonna have to be like this priority that's gonna have to be kind of pushed to the side. But anyways, thank you guys for watching so much, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully it won't be too long, and yeah, bye.